guys, it's Beacon Hill Books. I'm here with my April wrap-up, which will include some book reviews that I haven't had time to create a full book review video on. I will do a few though. So this month I read 8 books and I did complete my goal for the month, which is to read a classic, which I read and / listened to The Great Gatsby, read diversely. I'll talk about that book in a second. I finished my Robin Hobb book for the month, and I read my Laurie King book for the month, plus a few others. So mission accomplished, thankfully. I'm going to go in order of how I read. The first book, which I could not wait to get my hands on, was The Confessions of Young Nero by Margaret George. If you've been watching my channel, I've been talking a lot about this book. I gave this book 5 stars. I love anything Margaret George writes. I think it's great historical fiction. So I highly recommend this if you like history or Roman times. The second book I read was In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeonmi Park. I have a video for that, and I gave that also 5 stars. It was just like a great reading month. I listened to that on audio, and I highly recommend that avenue of reading the book. So the third book I read was The Pirate King. It's Mary Russell and Sherlock Holmes number 11, and it's by Laurie King. This is a kind of a confusing book and on Goodreads, and I have to agree as well. It's one of her more average books, and it's also one of those books within a book, but in a way that I didn't enjoy it, unfortunately. The book is about Randolph Flitt, and he is a director for England's silent film industry. This is based on Gilbert and Sullivan's play called The Pirates of Penzance, which I have not heard of before. It's basically takes place in Lisbon, where Mary Russell is sent due to Mycroft coming to visit, and she's trying, due to what happened in the last book, to not see him. But this is all by Mycroft's design, of course. And so Sherlock doesn't even enter in until about 50% of the way in. The main historical character in this book, though, was Fernando Pessoa. And I also was not familiar with him, so I learned a little bit about him. He is a poet and well-known Portugal writer. So basically this play is about pirates that are on a ship, and so Pessoa decides to get real pirates for the silent film that they're going to tape, but there's already shenanigans going on because there has been with Flitt films already. There's a secretary missing, and of course this just spells disaster because the pirates, the pirates are going to do as pirates do. We'll leave it at that. The fourth book I read was All the Rivers by Dorit Rabinyan, and I will link the video that Mel did from Mel's Bookland Adventures. There's a few of us that had a quick synopsis of what we felt about the book. We had multiple opinions about the book. We'll just put it that way. I didn't get to share quick my favorite quotes from the book, so I just wanted to say, just briefly, so this is a book about an Israeli and a Palestinian couple, and they meet in New York City, and one of them will be leaving shortly to go home, and the book has this looming deadline, basically, of what will they do when they have to go home, because the two countries obviously do not get along, and the two people's families what would they think? So my first quote I really liked was, I recite, "Music is the language the soul talks to itself in," which I really like since I love music. One more I liked, I looked at him in the mirror and thought about the desert imperative so deeply ingrained in us, that obligation to save water that is instilled in anyone who grew up in a hot, dry region like ours. I thought about how it was repeated to us in kindergarten and in school until it became second nature, and how that good old-fashioned upbringing persists in us even here in America. The similarity between us, that shared destiny, must be what they mean when they say that man is imprinted by his narrative landscape. This is when Himley is talking about going home and the two countries, and are they separate, and who owns things that are common to both of them, like the air and water and the border. And he said, "We're already glued together," he said, tightly interlacing the fingers of both hands. "What can you do? We're inseparable from you." So I really liked that. I gave this book 4 stars. The 5th book I read was The Great Gatsby, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. And in the beginning it was a little slow, but the ending pushed it up to 4. The 6th book I read, I have to finish editing my video, was Margaret the First by Danielle Dutton. I absolutely loved this book. I also gave it 5 stars. It was everything that I really would love in a book. It was historical, it was whimsy, and I fell in love with the character. The 7th book I read was The Golden Fool, which is the 2nd book in the Tawny Man trilogy by Robin Hobb. I gave this book 4 stars. It probably would be 4.5. We follow Prince Dutiful returns to Buckkeep, and Fitz also returns as his skill master, which skill is a magic, and the prince is getting set up with Narcheska, which is a princess from the outest lands, and there is some mystery going on with her, as well as the piebald, which are the people that are witted, so they have the animal magic, are still out to get Prince Dutiful and Fitz/Tom, and there's some things going on with Hap, which is Fitz's adopted son. He's always got so much going on, but complications with the Fool and maybe a little love complication too. And my final book that I read was Anne Boleyn, A King's Obsession by Alison Weir, and I am going to do a video on that. That's going to be released very soon. It's part of a series that it's going to be 1 book for every wife of Henry VIII. There was one already, obviously, for Catherine of Aragon, The One True Queen, it's called. This was an interesting take. I have read quite a few books about Henry VIII's and Henry VIII's wives, and this had a few twists. For being historical fiction, there were some things that were fiction, but in the end, the author talks about why she put these twists in, which made for an interesting read, and then made me want to Google more after. So anyways, that's what I read. Have you guys read any of these books? What was your favorite book you read this month? Let me know in the comments, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you so much. Happy reading.